Says you're live streaming now.
Thank you.
Okay, you're good, Jerry. Okay. Come on our agenda is meditation, and we're gonna stand. We'll have a meditation. In our meditation, we wanna keep in your most fervent prayers, the chief.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Second. On the question, all in favor? All opposed, favors have it. Next is the approval of our minutes. We don't have our minutes.
No, not yet. I'm open.
No problem.
Fine.
The next thing on our agenda is our public comment or input. Do you have anyone who would like to address council? If you could take the podium and just give us your name and.
Joyce Delaney,
Oh,
Marion Street and Clark Summit.
okay, thank you.
I just found out something recently in cruelty. A neighbor had put out muskrat traps and caught a cat in there, a neighbor's cat, and it really was severely hurt. It's very cruel, they're illegal. I believe the police was called.
Can I pick on that? So I was actually on that one. We found those traps. The traps that were put out were muskrat beaver traps, that caught the neighbor's cat in there. That was referred to the Pennsylvania Game Commission because what happened there was the neighbor had hired a professional pest company to come in to try and solve a groundhog problem. Put traps that are not designed for groundhogs in there, caught an inadvertent animal. And so the Game Commission, I believe, fined the pest control company for that. And then civil action as far as the cat injuries, but I think we got the cat out. They went down to the vet and was
It's still not right.
okay. How about
I'm a neighbor.
still not right? Yes. Yeah, so that was referred to. I think the Game Commission cited them for improper trapping and hunting, all that sort of stuff. So
And that lady knew better. She was using a have a heart one, but she got a skunk and she said after that, she don't want to use it.
gotcha.
So that was illegal. I
Yeah.
was hoping you were aware there would be consequences. to it.
Yeah, that was referred to the Game Commission. Hunting, they were targeting groundhogs. They weren't out there to try and catch cats.
When the cat got caught, the screaming was unbearable.
Yeah.
And neither of those houses where those traps were came out. A lady from across the street came out. So I mean, if you're gonna have traps, you need to get out there when something is caught, and the screams were unbearable like this.
100%, I agree. Yeah, for sure.
And do you know how many traps there were?
We found two that night.
Oh,
The one that the mittens or whatever was caught in, and then there was one that we set off. To stop from anything else getting in there. We confiscated the Game Commission possession of it from that point forward.
you, are there two cats that are inside, but if one ever got out, oh my gosh. Cruelty on that is unbelievable.
Yep.
Thank you. Our agendas are these three.
Yes, that's me. I'll speak out for those of you who don't know me. Maybe with standard issue, I think we had a considerable amount of warnings, so we're doing the drift driver. Also, we awarded the LSA share grant. We saw the email I sent out earlier for the police cruiser. They just need that in motion. That's all CoStar's pricing, state issued pricing. It's not shop around. That dealership we've done business with in the past, great results with.
Is the grant gonna cover the entire vehicle or?
So the grant covers is for $65,000. the cost with everything upfitted at our door, ready to go in service was 66. I believe the difference was $1,120. So we're in $66,000 car ready to go for $1,000.
We retiring a vehicle when we get that one?
That's a great question.
Because part of the reason I think we did that is in anticipation of ransom, which is not passed, at least not yet. So I was just curious.
I don't know, in past, we've always, got rid of the highest mileage one that's costing us the most money. I know the chief mentioned keeping an additional one around for the possibility of ransom or, code enforcement. I know has used our vehicles in the past. Stuff, so I don't know that answer right now. We're not dead set on it.
And it's gonna be quite a while before we get.
Yeah, so it'll be October before this vehicle is in, so it's not gonna be a.
So by then we may well know if our needs and potentially if we can divest the vehicle, we can make up more than the cost of what this costs.
Correct.
Exactly, yeah.
Gary, before we move on, as long as Kevin is here, want to make a motion that we place Officer Kerrigan from a part-time position to a full-time position immediately.
I'll second.
Actually, I guess, Mr. Yagowski, so I don't think the personnel committee met with Patrolman Kerrigan. He is on our civil service list, right?
Yes, sir.
Is there anybody else in the civil service list?
That would be up to the Civil Service Commission. I don't know. I believe 3 people took the time.
Okay. Have they been notified? Have we advertised the position or anything like that? Or did we let them know? I mean,
The position was advertised when the testing went out.
okay. Are those 3 people still interested in the position?
I don't know that would be up to the Civil Service Commission. It's contact them in Borough Council. I would assume I've not heard any different.
Gary's motion is on the
And one other,
table.
I'm sorry,
It's
one other
still
question.
Frank, but we have the agenda under old business,
Mhm.
but if anybody has questions for.
And with Patrolman Kerrigan, he's a part-time police officer now?
Yes, sir.
And would you recommend him for a full-time?
Officer Kerrigan has been an incredible asset to the borough for the past several years. You're not only getting a police officer with him, you're getting somebody who's an EMT, somebody who's trained in the fire department, who's well versed in Fletcher's Fire Company and ambulance equipment. So Officer Kerrigan would be a great hire.
I just haven't met him or
Yeah,
spoken
no,
with him, but I was just would like to hear
Yeah.
a little more about him before we
For sure.
decide. He's the one.
He's been a loyal employee to us for several years. I trained him. He's been really good for us. He's an active go-getter out there. But he gets the needs of this town very well.
Thank you.
Gary, if we know we're gonna hire him, right, we have to. I have the right to make the motion.
Oh, sure.
We had a second,
I think we do need that.
so why would we not?
I think, does anyone have any comments?
Virginia, would I be right in doing this?
If there's been a motion and a second, after questions, they have to take a vote. Unless you unless you rescind your motion.
No.
No.
I will just add one point, which is I think council is aware of the budget implications for the additional hire. Please just bear those in mind as we go through the rest of our year. If this vote is favorable, that we will have budget implications we need to deal with, and want to make sure everybody keeps that in mind in every meeting and in all considerations that we have as we go forward.
And I just want to go on the record of saying, first and foremost, I'm not against the police, and I'm not against the hiring of Officer Kerrigan.
Sure.
As Officer Yakauskas had just mentioned, he seems more than qualified for the position.
Sure.
What does concern me at this point in time is we're in the middle of the collective bargaining agreement. Hearing the numbers and things like we did this evening, we're still a ways away. I'm not saying that this can't be done at some point in the future. While we don't live in a perfect utopia over here, we are a lot safer community than some of our neighbors. And that's a credit to these guys in the uniform, as well as our counterparts in South Abington and Dalton and so forth, that they all have each other's back.
Sure.
So I think if all hell were to really break loose, it's not that this one officer being absent just for the time being, is going to have that large of an impact. Excuse me, on things. Once we have the collective bargaining agreement in place, I feel we're gonna be able to act with more certainty. And then, rather than just really throwing darts at the dartboard right now and hoping we hit the bullseye. Again, hopefully, we don't know. We're gonna probably have to look at the budget really good and hard when that comes up in a couple of months
Right.
to see where cuts may be. Thing that I know I would definitely be vehemently opposed to would be a tax increase on the citizens.
Sure.
We've made some
We all do.
pretty bad decisions in the past that have cost taxpayers. We don't want to make one here and just rushing through the process. Again, I think he's very qualified. My feeling is that we just wait and see until we get the collective bargaining agreement, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Okay.
And right now, like I said, the economic conditions would never support a tax increase.
No.
And we don't want to even attempt to go down that rabbit hole. So if this does come up for a vote now, I have to vote no.
And just second what Councilman Guza said, just for the record, we did have an executive session. The executive session was regarding the collective bargaining agreement. We're not going to get into the details of it. We met again. We are moving forward. Things are in a positive direction, but we're far from having a completed collective bargaining agreement with the police. We also need to do a collective bargaining agreement with DPW. We have a lot of unknown variables. We have a lot of unknown costs. If we do hire a full-time police officer, we're gonna have to pay them 75% of their base wage the first year, 90% of their wage the second year, and 100% of their base wage the third year. And that could be, the 100% could be approximately $85,000 to $90,000 a year without health insurance and without benefits and other costs that we are unaware of at this time. I agree with the Councilman Guza that we do have a lot of unknowns, and if we are going to hire someone, I think we should have answers to those unknown questions. At this time, I feel I could not. Thank you.
I will just add that, I agree that there are some unknowns yet to be figured out. We're not done with the collective bargaining agreement. But for myself, I've taken the approach of, can I get to a point where the range of what's possible makes me comfortable enough that we can move forward? And for myself, I've met that standard. I think this has become an acute enough issue with the staffing level that to delay any further and to wait any longer, I don't feel is advisable. I know there's also a benefit from the state with the pension. It's a minor benefit, but it is a benefit nevertheless, if we move forward by the end of June. So I personally am in a position where I recognize there's a bit of an unknown in exactly the extent to which our budget's going to go up. But I'm committed to cutting what we need to do to fully staff our police officer, our police office the way we need it. That's my stance, is that I will support this.
Thank you.
And I guess I should comment on my thoughts is that Chief Yarns that the situation hasn't changed.
Right.
We've been putting it off. He's been repeating the same thing each meeting.
Right.
So I think we're at the point now to vote.
Okay. So we have already motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed?
No.
Favors have it.
Two.
Five.
Two.
Those are Guza.
Excuse me, I didn't refer to you as. Sorry.
Appreciate it.
Okay. so-
Jerry, before you go any further, the police car is coming out over $1,100 more than we had got approved on the budget for the grant. And we hadn't budgeted, so we do need to vote to accept that bid on that car.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we accept that bid and that we cover the remaining unfunded balance from LSA with capital reserves.
I'll second it.
Perfect.
the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, favors have it. Thank you, Virginia. And now you can let the
Thank you,
chief know
Council.
that. Move forward.
Also included the, sorry,
I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna say, I'll be officer in charge until at least Monday, so if there's any issues, please just let me know. We'll help you out the best we can.
You're doing a fine job, so thank you very much.
Madam President, if there's no further questions from the public or from anyone at the table, Mr. Yudkowsky, ask that he be allowed to leave.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sitting in.
Talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
Then we did, we just did the LSA grant, right, for the police?
Yes.
Under bids and quotes, we had, we opened our bids at our work session. And we're gonna award the bid to the, it's the Pennsylvania Supply.
Fancy supply. Fancy supply.
Fancy, yep.
Just
And see,
public though, our engineer reviewed all the bids. and-
Oh,
and this is
exactly, yeah.
the highest, not just the lowest offer, this is a reputable, responsible bidder too. right?
Exactly, they all had to really balance out.
Okay.
And, this was the one that our engineer has.
Have we done work with Penske before, or is this the first time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good.
Virginia, just out of curiosity, what did we budget for this paving?
oh, we budgeted 350, so this is good.
Okay, thank you.
With the bidding.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Steve, a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. The question, all in favor? Opposed, favors have it 7-0. For our treasury report,
We have 3 here unreconciled from Vicky. Still trying to get everything settled.
Can you sit on unreconciled or?
When Vicky started, pardon me, Virginia had hurt herself, so Vicky's been solo. Getting used to things, so it's been.
Oh, these have been reconciled, so.
No, these are unreconciled, but these are things that he's been working on, but she literally started when Virginia had hurt her hip, so she hasn't had training in the office with somebody one-on-one. So that's why things are a little behind.
Okay, I mean, it's okay, they're behind, but
Yes.
these have been looked over, they're
Yes.
right and accurate and stuff.
I'm sorry.
These are actual bank balances as of the end of the month. So we're not reconciled against our QuickBooks, but we definitely had that cash in the bank at that date.
Is that, I mean, I just wanted, I would just, is that, do we reconcile them? Is that our usual procedure?
We always reconcile and we will get the reconciliation caught up. But since Sarah's been gone and Vicky's trying to get caught up, she's still trying to figure out how to get the payroll adjusted.
My only question would be, I mean, if we waited another month, would she have opportunity to reconcile these 3 of them?
That is the plan. Absolutely.
So you're voting us to approve them, that they're not reconciled at this time?
Approve them as unreconciled and we will give you a reconciled report next month. But I think you need to at least acknowledge that, you know, what the balances are. If that's okay.
thank you. Okay,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report for March 2024, April 2024, May 2024, on the condition they're unreconciled and they'll be reconciled in the next 30 days prior to the next council meeting.
I'll
thank you,
second.
Bob. Thank you, Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, favors have it. And then our next item is vendor payments to be ratified. We have a motion to pay the bill.
A motion that we pay the bills.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, favors have it. 7-0. Okay, under full business. Our sewer report for May.
And I stepped out.
Maybe we could go to the next one, we'll wait till Jen gets back.
Okay, sure. Next one is,
Yeah, maybe the resolution and the pay cut.
trash report.
You wanna cover the pay cut ordinance first? While we wait for Jen to come back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to move to advertise resolution 2024-5, is that right, Virginia?
No, resolutions don't need to be advertised.
What, if I could
This
just,
is- I'm sorry, Drew, go ahead.
what does need to be added into this by council is the penalties under subsection 6 there for sections 137 and 143. We talked about that, the work session, so we'll just have to have council determine what penalties for non-compliance and how council would like those penalties to be laid out within this prior to adopting it.
And I think actually there's some
We had some examples.
examples were emailed out or something, weren't they? Okay. So does the committee who is involved with this, does it have any recommendations or?
I haven't talked to them about the recommendations or what other boroughs are doing similarly. Virginia, I'm not sure if you spoke with.
Drew, I'm sorry, I didn't think to CC you. I did send out to Bob, Josh, and Steve what I got from other communities, which is 812, both were, I think, $800. One had some of the fees at 600. So that's what the other communities are using.
So I can amend this to include that and reflect if that's appropriate for council, the 800 and 1200 number.
I think we better do that because I think it got kind of lost in the shuffle of this collective bargaining agreement and whatnot this week, which took priority. So I think we better do that and have it ready to consider next month.
To just table this, do you think, Josh?
I think so, because we haven't fully fleshed that out.
Okay. Is that in agreement with you, Virginia, if we table this until next month?
I'm sorry,
I think she has trouble hearing you, Gary.
Oh,
We were gonna table it to next month, Virginia,
okay, no problem.
no.
Yes, I put that off to the side here. Right. From heck. So the only new news is that I'll be doing delinquent letters at the end of this quarter. I usually do it between after the 20th of June before the new bill comes out. And that's how we do it. So of course I'll let you know.
How are we doing with the garbage?
That's the next one. Next report is garbage. Yeah.
It looks like our aging amount is steadily going down. So,
Or
this
trash.
is on trash, right? that I'm looking
Okay,
at?
now we're trash. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't-
the report came out a little bit lower for the aging, despite the fact that we have an additional billing. So I think that's a good sign. We're starting to get some history now.
Is there have we sent any delinquent notes, any letters on that yet? And at what point will we?
Jen, I don't think you Nicole and you has, no. I will be back in the office in 2.5 weeks. When I get in there, I will make sure that that is addressed. I just don't know, they've been so busy without me there that I just don't want to put too much pressure on them.
Sure.
Jen,
Well,
if you could give Nicole samples of your delinquent letters to at least give her a guideline to work with.
No, and I don't know if this makes a difference or not. There are still some people that will, and I don't know if it's claiming or not. Some people that haven't even paid one yet, not realizing that they have a trash bill in addition, or they get the trash and the sewer mixed up all the time.
Yeah.
So that might be something just to take into consideration.
I think, but we're heading into our third bill now.
Right, no, I
So
agree.
we've given enough of a grace period that if someone's not paid their Q1 bill, I think it's time.
I agree.
Absolutely. We've got 6
Next
months
topic.
under our belt. It's time.
need a motion to approve the sewer report.
You don't need them?
No. New business.
Well, actually, I'm sorry, with the trash though,
Yeah.
so I know with sewer, you have some like remedies, and if you people don't pay the
Yes,
sewer.
we do, because then the
you-
water would.
You can turn off the water. What are we doing with trash? I know I don't, that's, I don't want to get too much into the, but like, is there anything we can do in order to encourage people to make payments, or are we just gonna send letters?
That's the question for council. The council definitely does not want to have the trash left behind because we don't want that happening in town. I suggest we don't mention that in the letter, though. We hint at the fact that we might stop picking it up just to maybe give them a little something to think about. But other than that, we don't have anything, there's penalties built into the ordinance, but we don't have any real hammer like we do with the sewer.
Okay, so I mean, do we want to try to do the collection ourselves? Are we gonna, I mean, maybe we should discuss having a third party try to collect it or something? Have we ever done anything like that?
Let's start with ourselves first, because we're only talking $48 a quarter. We'd probably pay that much to a collection company. If and when we get some serious delinquencies, we can talk. Right now, we can do it ourselves and see how it works.
How much thousands of dollars are we behind on the collection? And we have to pay it no matter what. That's the issue with Mascaro. I mean, if they pay the borough, it comes out of the borough's budget.
Correct. How much are we behind? I'd have to go and check that number because I didn't have it tonight. I'm sorry, but I will email you guys with that.
Aging greater than 90 days is $19,789.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
But I would assume we'll go after it just like we do with the sewer. Obviously, we don't have the same hammer, but yeah. And
Well, just thinking about what our hammer is, again, I don't disagree that we don't want garbage piling up around town. But if we didn't collect the garbage, we would then be able to cite them for a quality of life ordinance potentially because they have garbage laying in the yard. And then there is a financial penalty we can slap on them. That could go to the magistrate, correct? So
Yeah.
that might not be the worst thing.
Yeah.
Correct.
Even thought of
I was
that.
thinking of
Mhm.
mine too.
But you're right. A pile up of garbage, any way you shake it. Mhm.
All right.
Thank you. Under new business, we have the resolution 2024-06, parking suspension. This is for June the 15th, I believe,
Fifth,
the weekend.
June 5th.
June-
No,
Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, but there's no parking meters on Sunday. So the suspension's only for Saturday and Monday.
Oh, 50, I'm so sorry. Yes, I read it wrong.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
We have a motion to suspend the parking.
I'll make,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, favors have it. So. Next item is Mark Altieri's resignation.
Yeah, I need council just to vote to accept his resignation and to start thinking about whether we're going to advertise to replace him or not. Keeping in mind that we do anticipate another retirement coming in our busiest season for the DPW.
So with this resignation though, the end date, there's a specific date he mentions, but then he wants us to reconsider or keep him on.
He said 6:30 is his last date. He's hoping to have the house sold and moved by then. If he hasn't been able to sell the house and we could use him, he would truly appreciate us allowing him to continue until such a time as we don't need him or he's sold the house.
I don't want to like accept a resignation for 6:30 and then him not, that would be an issue if we stayed on. I mean.
It would have to be a vote to keep him on at that point. I would say accept his resignation and then we can advertise the work session if we feel there's going to be a need to keep him on and he feels he's going to need it.
I will just point out before a motion is made that I am not in favor of advertising for the replacement yet because this is one of the variables I think we need to look at in the context of the increased police expense that we've just undertaken. So I think it's premature. Even if we expect another one, it's premature to try to replace this one at this time, in my opinion.
I'm good with that. Just keeping in mind, I'm going to be bugging you by the beginning of September. I don't want to try to bring somebody in the middle of October when we're in the middle of our peak season. So we'll talk a little bit later in a couple months, okay?
We'll also start the budgeting process in August probably or September. So I think
August
we're
is
in a better
normal,
position
yep.
To make that informed decision.
Great.
I agree with Josh because of the unknown of what the timeline would be.
I'll make a motion then that we accept Mark Altier's resignation effective June 30th.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, on the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, favors have it, 7-0. And the ABPA, their summer solstice special event application. We have to approve this. We have a motion to approve the ABPA request.
A motion to approve the APTA summer solstice application request.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second? I'll second. Thank you, Jacqueline. On the question, all in favor? All opposed? Favors have it. The next item on our agenda is the YouTube and virtual participation in the meeting.
I can address this one and then maybe ask the solicitor to chime in because he and I spoke on this topic. So since COVID, we have run all of our meetings on YouTube. We've streamed them live, which is the benefit of also being on YouTube. One is not necessarily, well, we don't have to stream just because we're on YouTube, but we do it and I think it's good. But I've been of the opinion of late that I felt somewhat uncomfortable about the level of virtual participation that we have, that it's become a little bit of a crutch. Has it taken us too far afield from, the exceptions that it's meant, that the exceptions that are allowable under the law? And should we, remove that crutch and only be using YouTube, not using YouTube every single month, but using it only when we need it? And so I wonder, Drew, if you could address that.
Sure. So YouTube it's not required. It's more of a convenience, I feel, for the public. There's no requirement that it be broadcast live. So long as the meetings are open to the public, that's the only requirement. So if council does want to forego broadcasting the meetings live on YouTube and live streaming those, you are able to do that should you feel that's appropriate. So like I said, as long as the meetings are open to the public and they are publicized and the public's able to get there, you are okay under the law to allow that to happen. So if you'd like to take a vote on stopping the live stream on YouTube, you could certainly do that. So like I said, so long as the public's able to come to the building and participate within the meetings as they have been, as we've been live streaming these for the past several months.
Can I just one clarification? I think what I am most concerned about is that we have leaned too heavily on YouTube when we don't need it. If we're going to say, in my opinion, we should only use YouTube month to month if we need it. If there's an extenuating circumstance where somebody has to join by YouTube. The result of that then is we can't plan to be streaming every month because we may not need it every month. And so we need to be transparent with everyone that it won't be available because we're only going to use it if we need it because there's a member of this council or otherwise. I mean, Virginia, your circumstance is an extenuating one that would lead us to use YouTube, but that's hopefully nearing its end. So I think it's just a byproduct of that we would no longer stream. It's not the streaming itself, but it's the over reliance on virtual participation and, what are the justifications for using that? Are we overusing? That's what has been my concern, just to make that clear.
In my opinion, I kind of have mixed emotions about this. Initially, I wasn't a big fan of the YouTube and the recordings, but I do believe that transparency is the best form of government. When people have an opportunity, and all people have an opportunity to see what's going on in their community, if they choose to be here in person or they choose to watch it on YouTube, that being a part of it, watching it is a good thing. I also understand it is difficult trying to get this organized every time, so I can understand that point. I think it's not maybe we could discontinue it for the short term, but I would ask anybody who is maybe at homebound, who's older, who doesn't like to drive at night, somebody who is, for whatever reason, couldn't make it to these meetings, who enjoys watching it on YouTube, So maybe write the Borough of Clark Summit, send a letter to 304 South State Street, Clark Summit, PA, make a phone call. Let us know that you are watching this, you enjoy having it on the YouTube, that you like to be part of it, even if you're not here in person. Again, everyone is welcome to be here in person, but I guess maybe in the short term, we could discontinue it, but if people want it back, then maybe we could reconsider it in the future if there is a demand for this, or people let us know. So that'd be my only 2 cents on this.
And I fully agree, Bob. I think if folks appreciate it, and we don't know, to be honest, we don't know. And I think the other thing that we should do is, Drew, if you can follow up with council to clarify the conditions under which they are allowed to participate virtually, where we would need Zoom to facilitate that participation. I think that clarity would be really appreciated by myself, and I'm guessing others as well.
Absolutely.
Views are listed,
Yeah, I think there's
So we
actually,
can
I think it's 70 or 80 people
Is-
a time.
we can hide numbers of views, yeah. Just. Oh, they're from all.
We don't know, we don't know.
Sure, exactly.
So please do tell us if you want us to continue doing that, but it has become, we struggle, it seems, at every meeting with the technology as well, so it's also, you know.
We know what-
No offense, it's complicated. I can't help you.
No, but the executive sessions, and we have to start it and stop it, it's just become a hassle, so unless our citizens appreciate it, I think it's a hassle that we don't need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion to,
I'll make a motion that we no longer use YouTube and stream to YouTube for every meeting unless necessitated. We would use YouTube only if needed to allow participation for a justifiable reason.
exactly,
I'll second.
okay, thank you. On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Favors have it. Next item is our solicitor's report.
Nothing for me this month.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
No correspondence. And we have no executive sessions, prior, during, or subsequent.
We did have prior.
Prior.
Yeah.
Today, we
Yeah.
did have one tonight, yeah, we did,
It's a very reflective part.
right.
We had one last week as well, did we not?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's now.
So we need to note that one as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, so. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Hold on, are we adjourning or are we recessing this? But I don't know.
Uh, Thank you, Josh. I want to ask council to recess because we have 2 things that may be coming up that we would need voting on before June 30th. One of them is going to be our insurance. They were not able to get the quotes in for our new liability insurance, which starts July 1st. They couldn't get the quotes in for tonight, but we expect them any day now. So we have to vote and accept that at the end of the month. And the goal is to have an agreement with the police union by June 30th. Otherwise, arbitration process has to start by law. So I'd like to leave it open to vote at that meeting. So if we could recess tonight, that would be good.
This will be for the work session though.
Correct.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn then, Virginia, and we'll.
And just to clarify, the state is not correct. It's not 624, it's 626. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so.
So for recessing, then we don't need a motion. We're done.
Right. Correct. So in that case, good night, everybody.
Take care.
Hey, everyone, take care.
Yep.